Thank you. Two things I've learned. First one is I really want to ring Luke. The second one is I definitely don't want to call from Alan. Quite scary. Today what I wanted to talk to you about is tree planting in schools. But I want to relate that to the theme of the conference today, which is people. I'm Sustainability Committee member for the SPA. I'm Sales Director at RH Fibre Board. And what I'm finding is that to do with sustainability, there's a lot of projects that are lasting 10, 20 years, pathways to net zero and legislation involving PPWR and things that nobody really can change quickly and are taking too long. Whereas I've got the privilege today really to talk to you about something that actually we can change very, very quickly just by running projects. So just a quick recap. Basically, 2019, Pro-Carton came to talk to the SPA about tree planting projects in schools, which basically involved a carton board version of a project where they would go in, discuss trees and growing and photosynthesis with the kids, and then provide them a box similar to this one. They would then take a tree, put it in the box, take it home and plant it in the ground. So it's a real sustainability message of look what we can make out of a natural product, and then look how it can go back into the ground, help a tree grow by composting. So at the time I was quite inspired by this, and RH Fibre Board and myself launched a corrugated version of this because Pro-Carton pointed out that you can actually put cardboard directly in the ground. So we took that on quite quickly. We rewrote the presentation from carton board to corrugated, and we visited several schools in a very short space of time. In a period of about 2 months, we went to 6 classrooms, and we donated 180 trees to the children that they would take home. They would actually plant them with me and my colleagues and the teachers in the school, take them home, and then plant them in the ground. So sadly, COVID stopped all of those activities after February 2020, so we've been going 3 months before it was stopped in its tracks. Really, it's taken that long for the schools to get around the fact that people can actually now go back into the schools. The teachers are given now a lot more opportunities to look at risk assessments and get those visitors back in. RH Fibre Board in particular have been doing quite a few community projects in the last few months, with Recycle Week just gone in October, and just going in and talking about recyclability and stuff like that. But really in the last 4 to 6 weeks, we've tried to reintroduce the Ticket Project to local schools, and we've actually, just this February, just gone, we've visited 3 classrooms, and we've planted 70 trees, 2 different schools, one very close to Fisk, our site in Bristol, and one near the factory in Wellington in Somerset. So we're really trying to get this momentum going again, and I really do feel that actually a target for SPA members could be community outreach programs, and that's particularly important for people, but also just sustainability and promoting our products. So if anyone takes anything away from what I'm talking about today and wants some help about going into schools and community protection and how to do that, then please do contact me, or my details will be on the SPA committee websites. But I'm more than happy to help, and maybe, if it's logistically possible, to attend some of these school visits with you. So this is a quick snapshot of what the presentation looked like. I've sped it up because we're not at the bar. And here's a quick video of what it looks like as well. Into the soil and that fertilises the tree and helps it grow. The roots and leaves clean the air. Have you ever noticed it if you go to the forest, help clean the air? It's only 15 seconds long, don't worry. Yeah. Because the trees are chucking out oxygen for us. So it's very short, but basically that was done in an assembly hall. You are in the classroom. It really depends on what the school wants. Some of the smaller schools want you to do as many years as possible with the kids, and some are happy just for it to be in the classroom. If you're going to do it, I would recommend classrooms. I can't really show you much video footage because the other issue is that we don't have the level of consent available for it. You can get it, but it takes a little bit of paperwork to start with. So the presentation itself is not something that you go to the school, take all your slides, go through each one individually, ask the kids if they've got any questions, and then disappear off doing practical tree planting. It's actually designed in a way that is much more interactive than that. And there's really two things about the presentation itself that are going to help you. The first one is that the first half of it is about tree planting and growing products and that sort of nature type thing. The second half is about the manufacture of paper and cardboard. And what you'll find is that the kids know so much about nature and hardly anything about cardboard. And the reason it's designed like that is because a lot of business leaders here, you might interview someone for a job, and because you're enthusiastic about what your business does and the position, that it's very difficult not to talk to that person and say, right, this is our business, this is what we're going to do, and you're off enthusiastically going through all of those discussions about how good your business is, and you end up not really having enough time to talk to the potential employee about what they might be able to bring to that business. And it's very similar with children. And the first bit, really the presentation runs itself, and they will tell you what photosynthesis. They're 8, 9 years old, they've already done all of that. They're already interested in trees, it's something that they see every day. Anything to do with nature they'll absolutely love. So in many ways, you're only there just to run through the slides, ask them questions about what they think, and then just point them in the direction of a few facts. Like, for example, the tallest tree in Britain is actually in Minehead, which is not too far from where I live and not too far from the schools that we've been to. So you talk about that, and some of them have been there. In terms of the manufacture of cardboard, that's actually not so hard. Once you know your audience, you can actually get quite a good reaction for it, and they're already up and ready for that discussion because they already feel empowered by the knowledge that they've got about what you're talking about, and they expect you to be an expert at actually what you've got is 10, 20, 30 experts that have already talked to you. So the problem is that, and we'd all love this as business, and I mentioned this in my presentation before COVID, is that we really want the kids to be able to say, oh, that's interesting. What box has he got there? I reckon that's an 0215. It's got to be E-flute because it's small. It's likely, he's only bought 40, so it's likely they've done it on a sample table. But they're not going to do that. They're just going to look at that and go, wow, we're going to put a tree in a box and we're going to take it home and plant it in the ground. And it's much the same that when you talk about machinery and how stuff's made, because the presentation does have photos of machines in it. To try and explain what a printer slotter is to an 8 or 9 year old is really difficult. But when you put it in their language of, have you ever got a piece of sponge or a bit of potato, cut it out, put it in some ink and stamped it on a piece of paper, essentially that is what we're doing. We're just doing it in a very technical, very fast way. And because they've done that, they can go, so that's how you do it. And it's actually similar with die cutting as well. How do you explain a die cutter to a child? Well, it's quite easy. Basically, it's a hole punch. And they use a hole punch, they know what it is. So, Olivier, your machines are giant technical hole punches. So, and once you've got there with that, then it's much easier to do. So, what has this got to do with people? And this is where I'm really want to push it home to you guys, because all the presentations today have been quite different. None of them really have been about getting out into the community, and this is a really good way for businesses to do that. The first thing is, it's not just important for the children. It's meaningful for the teachers. So teachers, I know a few, and they work bloody hard. They are looking for people to come in and for somebody else to talk to those kids about what they're doing. And even little things, like if they can have a morning where they can just sit back and watch somebody else talk to the kids, where they can watch the kids being inspired by whatever it is, the technology or putting trees in a box, it really doesn't matter. But they are going to get home at the end of the day and actually feel better. So if we can do that to a group of people that wouldn't necessarily have that, other than the fire brigade coming in once a quarter to talk about how they save people from a burning building or took a cat down from a tree or whatever it is. They're not used to businesses coming in and doing that. At the end of every session, I've always had the teachers coming up, shaking me by the hand, saying, thank you so much. We get nothing like this, so it's really appreciated. Secondly, you can't do this on your own. You have to take someone else in for your business. And this kind of relates back to what Alan was saying a little bit about taking people away from their machines or away from their PCs and maybe getting them involved in the training room. Well, whilst this isn't company training, it is, I took a designer in onto the first one, and designers sit there in front of screens and just look at pictures all day. And, it's quite hard to actually take them out into the community and do something different for half a day. My sales manager came with me on the last one, totally nervous, hasn't got kids of his own, wasn't looking forward to it, but he actually really enjoyed it. And it, instead of being sat in his office at the bottom of the garden talking to customers on Teams, it was very different for him. Thirdly, it's important for the parents, because at the end of the session, the kids are taking home a tree in a box. So I think for the parents, then, you do, of course, we do a little tree planting guide, and it's got RH fiberboard on it. So you never know, there might be a buyer there who thinks, oh, I know them. But that's not what it's about. It's about them, the kids going home excited and going, right, it's February, but going home into the garden and saying, right, we've got to plant this tree now. We have to do it because I want to watch the box disappear over 4 months. So, and I still get, even from the first sessions back in December 2019, I'm still getting photos from the parents of these silver birch trees that we helped to plant them. Some of them are 3 meters tall, and I think, oh my God, I hope they're not too close to the house. But, we're still getting that. Yeah. And lastly, it's meaningful for you. If you're going to do something like this, we're all motivated by figures, get throughput through machines, but this is something totally different. This enables you to step out and be motivated by just a teacher saying thank you, or a group of kids. I've got probably 60, 70 trees named after me now. They're all in people's garden, and they're all called Steve. So, I don't know how to take it, but it's, that's the way it is. So, it's really, if you can take the risk almost, because it is difficult talking to children, but it's not. Once you've done 1 or 2 classrooms, there's always the rowdy kids, and as soon as they hit 10 years old, I would not bother. Because they start to then take over and think they know more than you do. In many cases they do. But 8 to 9 is about right, and do not go after lunch either. That is absolute carnage. From what I've learned, is definitely in the morning. So why should we concentrate on projects involving children? Jean Pascal used a word earlier. He said it was about shaping people. Well, I truly believe this is actually what we're doing, and we are teaching the most teachable cohort. When you're a child, the whole of your brain is active. They've looked at studies and they've shown that it's all firing all over the place. I mean, I'm looking around now and I'm not sure there's many brains firing at all. But it's not your fault. But what happens is that as you get older, your brain, that activity goes into certain areas and reduces. And the reason being is because when you're a child, you've got to take in as much information as possible. And that's why kids are really good at learning languages. As you get older, that's when the hobbies and the interests start to take effect. So what happens is you start to get interested in things like skiing or sustainability or whatever it is. So, and those neural pathways, if you really like football, you're going to learn about football, and those neural pathways in your brain are going to generally make you pick up more information. And it's exactly the same as kids. That's why you could have a child in a Swedish school who could be fluent in German and in English by the age of 3, because they've got that much more capacity to do so. So going into a school like that, talking to these kids, teaching them, about the most expensive hole punches you can buy, and how a tree grows and how you can turn a tree into paper and into cardboard. Possibly, who knows, you're actually shaping those future employees that are going to come to you maybe in 10 to 15 years' time. And I'm really relying on that one child that's going to come in and actually explain to everybody what EPR is. So I think that's my biggest hope for this. And, it's not just future employees, it's having that generation growing up, learning about sustainability. where are we? 20 years' time, everybody's going to be talking about pathways to net zero. Well, that's all the children that are in the schools now. So, and like finally, as I've said it before, it's meaningful for people, including you, the guys that are going to hopefully be out in the community doing this sort of thing. So I've just flashed that up on the screen. That's just a comment that I had recently from the headmaster of a school. What I'd like to do today, just to finish off, is basically ask you, is there anybody out there that thinks their business could or should do more out in the community? Okay, so if you could keep your hands up. Kate, do you mind coming up again? Is that okay? And David as well. Can I take this one? Yeah, take it. It's ready. Okay. Turn it on. Sorry, it's already on. Hello? Oh, okay. Woo. Right, so what I thought we'd do is actually, as you're so interested about going into schools, I thought we'd actually do some tree planting. So this also, if you could just open that box. So you've got 2 there. So basically what you do is you go to the Woodland Trust and you can order, if you're going to do 2 classrooms, which you can do in probably 2 or 3 hours in the morning, you can order birch trees online. So if you could take that. So that's a birch tree. And you can take that one as well. So they cost around about £1 to do. So, and they actually, it's quite nice because they actually arrive in a meat box, which is quite good. So you order 70 of these and they turn up at your house or your business and it is literally a box around about that big. So all you need then is about 10 litres of compost and a member of staff to come with you. So if you just pop those down a second, I know you've been in the industry a long time, so you're not going to have a problem making up that box. Kate? There you go. Right, so that's the top. So let's start. Okay. Kate, let's leave him over there. Right, so Kate, basically feet first, so that one goes down first. Well, we did, of course. Those 2 down, yeah. Fold that flat. Okay, you got that? So feet first. Honestly, this is easier with 9-year-olds. Right. Okay. So now what you want to do is take the shovels in the soil and fill it by about 20 mil, something like that, in the bottom. Okay, so yeah, that's good. Yeah. Right, then pop the tree in. Oops. Okay, they are actually looking a bit disheveled because they've been in a box, so they need a drink like everybody else. So again, just fill the soil in around it. Yeah, don't worry about keeping it in the middle because you'll be able to shake it just to put it in. Yeah, so you need to put more soil in. That's just going to die. It'll die anyway. Yeah. So whilst you're doing this, you can learn about whatever trees you've decided to plant with the kids. Personally, I would always go for the silver birch. Basically because they are actually quite hard to kill. And you can... yeah, not too bad, about 3 feet a year, something like that. If you fill them roughly to the top, so they'll grow to around about 10 to 12 metres. Some will get up to 30 metres depending on where, but that's mainly in the Scandinavian area. Silver birches actually grow from northern Europe right down to the south in Portugal. So that's yeah, keep going if you can. A little bit more. David's making a mess. Yeah. So, and just little things, like, whilst you're doing this, you can tell the kids that these trees themselves, they'll support about 300 insect species, and they'll attract things like woodpeckers and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty good. That'll do for now. So the smaller ones go in first. Now, these ones here, what they do is one hooks under the other. So one goes, put the tree in the centre, which is partially that side. Yeah. There we go. So, basically, one hooks under the top of the other, so that secures the top. I love that. So again, straight away you're showing the kids that they can now dig a hole in their garden and plant it to around about here, and obviously the box doesn't need tape either, so that's not an issue too. So what will happen over about 4 months, once they've planted that, is the top of the box will collect all the rain and drain it down into the soil. The tree will grow, and the box between 4 and 6 months will have completely disappeared. And that's what you can show them, take the top off. So just to finish off really, is obviously we've just done this little project here. You can take that home and plant that in your garden. And you can do the same. So I just really wanted to see you at the dinner table with a tree in front of you. But basically, statements like that is the kind of impact that we can have on all kinds of people. So genuinely, if someone wants to do some tree planting in schools, then please do talk to me. It's a brilliant program. And just one other thing is it doesn't matter what age you are, you're probably not going to forget planting a tree at a conference. So, and that's my point really, is if we're doing this amongst adults, then if we can really get the kids involved in our industry and what we're doing, then hopefully that will go some way to making us all a bit more sustainable.